to episode 117. 117 episodes of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, in beautiful Los Angeles, California, I am Ray Carcillo, joined by my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias. Lee, how are you doing today, sir?
Ray, it's the 117th time you've shouted at my face that we're about to do an episode, and I'll be honest with you, I'm happy to be here today. A lot of great topics. We got some juicy topics these last few weeks.
Yes.
This is going to be a good episode today, and I'm kind of happy today. You know, I don't usually like to do the weather report anymore, but it's a little cooler here today. Like in the high 60s this morning, I was feeling that. Then it went up in the 80s, and I was like, it sucks.
Yeah, it was 105 here yesterday in the valley.
Oh, nice and cool.
Was,
look at that. Yeah.
It's that kind of heat. I had to do laundry yesterday. It's that kind of heat where you just walk outside and start sweating.
Yeah, that's the weather outside. What is it outside? It's sweating.
Yes, it's sweating weather.
Sweating
yeah,
outside.
it's just sweating. Yeah. Yeah, it's not sweater weather. It's sweating weather. So.
Yes.
Yeah, that's California. So yeah, it's gonna be something similar, a little cooler today. I think only 103.
I feel like someone should be playing like the Seinfeld doom doom doom. Like when we do that, it's kind of jokes.
Yes, but yeah. So that's the weather report. We got a lot of other great stuff for you though here today, folks. At Geeks Who Like Sports, we got a lot of sports talk. We got college football, Olympics, regular football, baseball,
regular football,
hockey,
yeah.
Basketball, a little bit of basketball.
Yeah.
But,
kind of a basketball story that kind of pisses me off, but we'll get into that.
Yes.
That's annoying.
Yes.
That's annoying basketball story.
Yes.
Today's date, for those of you listening or watching, is July 31st, 2021. It is Saturday when we're recording this, just in case you need that, because we have a lot of topical topics on this topic show today that we're going to cover.
Yes, and of course we are also live on Twitch as we are doing this. Our buddy Casey saying that he's watching us on his deck. You are very, very lucky, sir. I wish I had a deck. I wish also, again, the weather was good enough where I could
be
feel
sweating if you wanted
to
deck. We established.
I was going to say, yes, exactly. Where it was comfortable enough where I could be outside to be on the deck that I don't have. But yes, so there's also a lot of geek stuff as well. We're gonna do some fun stuff talking about PAX, Rockstar, a lot of Marvel stuff. But we're kicking the show off today with Ghostbusters. I am so happy. I was going to say I was going to wear my Ghostbusters shirt, but I wanted to mention I got a brand new T-shirt. Says classically trained. Also, like our friend Casey owns this, but I found it. I got it for $10 at Kohl's. We wouldn't appreciate them as we would appreciate them as a sponsor as well.
For the listeners, it has an NES controller on it too.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So
I care about the listeners of this show too. I do. I don't. I can't speak for my partner here, but I care.
Yeah. I sort of care. I care.
Sort of own it. I like that. Right? Own it. You're right.
Yeah. So but no, but for sure, yeah. So, but no. So I went with my new classically trained shirt today instead of Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is the first topic of discussion. The new trailer came out. Some footage we've seen from the first trailer. A little bit of new footage as well. Basically, we get a hint of Ray's stance.
The bigger hint, Ray. I mean, the thing they uncovered in this trailer is much bigger for us, which is a villain is returning, which I'm excited about.
It looks like, we know we get the Hellhounds, and to me, it looks like Gozer.
It looked exactly like Gozer coming out of that pit. And what I could discern from this trailer, it's not a spoiler alert because it's a trailer, but it looks to me like, if I had to guess right now, proton pack to my head. I see what I did there. It's that Egon moved the containment unit as far out of New York City as possible, which would make total sense after the events of Ghostbusters 1 and 2. And that now that they're discovering it, and that containment unit must be underground. And Ray, who's in that containment unit? It wouldn't be surprising if Gozer was in there, even though she exploded, or she's coming back. But there's also the architecture, right? And like this goes right to the Ghostbusters video game too, in a lot of ways. Yes. But that's what it looks like, is that they're there. I mean, the scene with Paul Rudd running out of the Walmart with the Hellhounds fight. That's a shot-for-shot remake of Harold Ramis. I mean, it looked great.
Yes.
Even the stupid run.
Or Rick Moranis. Yeah, exactly.
I apologize. Yes, Rick Moranis. God bless Harold Ramis and Rick Moranis.
Which, by the way, I would love if Rick Moranis made a cameo in this as well. Like, now that he's getting back into acting. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like I was gonna say you brought back Janine, right? You had Annie Potts, which was like, I guess the one big thing that we saw, right? Like the one. I mean, we got Ray Stance's voice, which we know he's going to be a part.
Yeah,
of
and
this.
we knew he was going to be in it, right? And
we know all the Ghostbusters
right.
are coming back in some form or capacity.
Yeah,
yes.
and I'm glad. I'm actually kind of glad they spoiled that. Like usually I'm not, but it's like because of the last Ghostbusters film, it's like, all right, yeah, they're in it.
Yes,
They're not going to be major characters, but they're in it.
They're in it, and they're not. It's not just like weird cameos.
They'll show up at the end and ready to go, and two in the box.
Exactly. They'll show up at the end. They'll help out, and then they'll pass the torch on to these kids, and then hopefully Ghostbusters will continue for a new generation.
It just looks great. I love you. You chose the station wagon. Bland,
oh,
I was just like
that sound. That sound still gets me. It makes me so happy.
There's two sounds. There's that one and the Death Star sound, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I won't do it. We won't. We'll spare you all. But the Death Star sound, like the alarm, and that sound, and then the DeLorean too, which is like sounds of our youth.
Yes, but that sound, that ambulance sound. I actually watched the fun video about them. This was from a few years ago. This was for the 2016 movie about how they restored the original station wagon, or the hearse, I should say, and they turned it, they rebuilt it and all this other stuff. Not rebuilt, they reupholstered and repainted and all that other stuff because it kind of been sitting, and then they realized that maybe they should take better care of it. Movie studios. We'll get into that.
I like that a lot of people still don't realize it's a hearse for some reason.
Yeah, it's an old 1950s Cadillac hearse.
Yes. Yeah. In case it says ambulance too, but like the genius of it is that it carries dead bodies. That's the genius of it.
Right. That's the thing. Yes, it was a hearse, and that model of car was used as hearses and ambulances. It was. Casey is correct that it was. Right. It's been used. That model of car was used as both.
Listen, it's Ecto 1, and I'll be honest with you, man. If High C doesn't bring back Ecto Cooler a third time, I'm gonna be upset.
Yeah, no, I think we're gonna get a lot of product placement here. I think we're gonna get a lot of Stay Puft marshmallows in the stores. So
by the way, also tapping on you can take any major character from the 80s and turn it into a baby version of it, and it works.
Yeah,
Yoda.
And
a Grogu, I should say, the Marshmallow Men.
Now you have Egon's granddaughter.
You have Loki as an alligator. I'm saying you can take any major character, turn into a baby or something cute, and people want to do it.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, that'd be more kid Loki than the alligator, wouldn't it?
Sure, but my point is that this is something that's common. Like the point I'm making is like
making something old.
Star
Wars
did this. Ghostbusters. Somebody else did it too. There's another one. I'm just blanking on. Somebody else recently had a baby version of something, or smaller version of something.
There's all different kinds of stuff like that out there. Muppet Babies and all that other stuff.
We'll make our dreams come true.
Exactly. Yes.
Great show. I had an argument. Wait, real quick. Had an argument with my daughter, I think, or my son. Oh. That I said, Muppet Babies. I used to watch this when I was a kid. And she goes, "No, Daddy, this is new." I said, "No, this is a remake. I watched the original." Because they did I did Star Wars.
It's a new version.
Yeah, and they did the same theme song. This one's just 3D with your animation, but I watched it too. No, Daddy. I was like, fine. You win.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Oh, kids, they don't understand that there was a time before them. Goodness. We were there once. Anyway, so we mentioned movie studios. Obviously, the folks with Ghostbusters seem to be doing a good job. Fingers crossed. Cannot wait for Thanksgiving. I'd be
surprised if they. You know what? The expectation, I think, is right where it needs to be. Mm-hmm. There's been some movies where the expectations too high. This one seems to be. I think we know what we're going to get.
Yes,
everyone's okay with that.
And I think partially, for better or worse, I think the 2016 film had something to do with that as well. Is that now we're a little more cautious. Even though we're appreciative and a little more cautiously optimistic, right? Because we know this is what we wanted all along. Right. We don't mind that there's going to be new Ghostbusters. We just wanted a continuation of the old Ghostbusters. We didn't want a reboot.
Remake.
Yeah.
The other thing too is that when it comes to this, it makes me think of Star Wars in the sense of like The Last Jedi, where it's like, look, I fully expect this to be a rehash of the first movie with a twist. That's what I'm expecting. I'm okay with that. You know, if anybody comes out, it's like, I don't know, they didn't really advance the storyline beyond, the thing and the blah blah blah. I want to be challenged as an audience.
The purpose of this movie is to pass the mantle on to a new generation of Ghostbusters, to reinvigorate and continue the franchise going forward. Trust me, we know there are plenty of great Ghostbuster stories that they could probably tell, but they need to give us new characters because the original Ghostbusters are old.
Yeah, a little bit. Or dead.
A little bit.
No offense, Harold Ramis.
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah, rest in peace, Harold Ramis. Dead, yes, but that's. I mean, you got to get a little bit, not to get a little more morbid, but there's also the thought that the clock is ticking a little bit with some of these guys.
It's true.
So anyway, so moving on. Speaking of movie studios, this was an interesting story that came out this week. Scarlett Johansson is suing Disney for breach of contract, and this is an interesting story. There's
two sides to it. I'll tell you that.
There are definitely two sides to it. Where if the contract is ironclad back in 2019, that the Scarlett Johansson was promised a theatrical release, an exclusive theatrical release, before it went to streaming services. Disney
and
obviously
money based off ticket sales. That's very important.
Right. Yes. And Scarlett Johansson was promised a percentage. I don't know what the percentage is off the top of my head, or if it's even revealed.
Quite a bit, probably.
Yeah. I'm sure it's going to be a fair amount. Yeah. Was promised a certain amount of the ticket percentage that goes to her for the theatricals. Obviously, this movie was delayed over a year. This movie was supposed to come out when the pandemic happened.
I was going to say, what happened?
Disney. Yeah, exactly. Disney waited. They waited. They made the business decision that the world has changed. The world is different right now. There still aren't people who are comfortable going to a theater. Let's do both. And so Scarlett Johansson basically is suing them, being like, no, I was promised a theatrical release exclusively first. Right. And although she was technically correct, there is also the case that Disney's making that the world is different now than when it was when the contract was signed. So it's going to be interesting to see how this is litigated. My prediction is this is going to be settled out of the courts. She's suing for $50 million. My prediction is that she will get a percentage now instead of also the streaming service, which honestly, considering Disney's making pure profit off that, they'd probably be okay with it. And also, by the way, folks, the movie has made between streaming and box office $400 million. 80% of that is still from the theaters, actually. Mind you, $80 million from streaming still isn't bad, especially if that's pure profit for Disney. So it's not like Scarlett Johansson's not getting paid. I want to preface this and basically say, remember, folks, these are millionaires arguing with billionaires. So before and there's also, and we're going to get into it, but Lee, I want to get your initial thoughts on the initial lawsuit and how this is being handled by both sides.
Well, when I take a business standpoint on this, the mistake that was made is clearly Disney did not communicate with Scarlett Johansson's people before making this decision. Their attitude probably is, well, we don't need to. But my attitude is, well, it would have saved this lawsuit from happening if you just had a conversation. Because I'm sure something could have been reached with the streaming audience as well. Right. Yeah, with that said, look, we're going to see a few of these with anything that's being released over the next 6 months. Mm-hmm. And then moving forward, deals will be changed to never let this happen again. This is just a result of, things changed pretty rapidly. The problem is, again, there's two sides to this. There's Scarlett Johansson's side, and then there's the studio that's saying, like, absolutely not. We have absolutely cleared this and paid, and like this was never the deal. And like, so someone's lying, as always, right? And I know that also whoever, I forget her name, who played Cruella. Is it Emma?
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone's thinking about suing now for the same thing. So I think what's going to happen is, there'll be settlements out of court, and then moving forward, contracts just won't be based off that again. But look, there's no empathy here for me in terms of the money. But if she signed a contract and someone didn't keep their end up, she has a right to sue. So I mean, and look, remember, she's out of the MCU now, like, and probably not coming back. So it's not like she has 5 more movies to do. She wants her final payday, and that's why she probably did this. So again, taking the money out from a legal standpoint, she's probably within her rights to do this. There will be a settlement. And again, moving forward, no actor will have a contract like this ever again.
No, for sure. I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, and the thing is at least at least she stands to make some money off the streaming, because unlike like HBO Max isn't making any money off of they're not charging a premium like Disney is with with their movies, right? I mean, when the Suicide Squad drops in the beginning of August, actually I think it's next Friday.
It's soon.
It's either next Friday or the Friday after. I can't remember, but that's free. You have it. Well, not free. If you have an HBO Max subscription, it's like I played this game, The Ascent, last night. You have an Xbox Game Pass subscription. There's your new game. Yeah. There's your new movie. There it is. Bang. Like it just.
The other thing I'll say, dude, is like we're discussing this because we have a podcast about this, but in case he's kind of saying it too, I don't really care. I mean, like, look, that's
yes.
I don't go to the movies. Yes. I'm not. It's not that I'm not a ScarJo fan. It's just like I'm not here for that.
No, exactly. It doesn't. I don't really care either way. I'm the same. That's what I'm saying. It's millionaires versus billionaires. I don't care. It doesn't really affect me.
It's like sports too. Like I've said this before. I want to say this like respectfully. I believe in everyone's right to have an opinion, but it doesn't mean I want to hear your opinion. I don't really want to hear your political opinion or your business opinions all the time. If I want to hear it, I'll look for it. It doesn't mean because you have influence doesn't mean your opinion is worth more. You know what I'm trying to say?
I mean, and I think there's two reasons why this is being blown out of proportion the way it is. First off, is that yes, that is the biggest one. There's right now there's nothing really else going on in the movie world.
Right.
The other thing that I think is happening is that there are some folks who are still trying to protect theaters and trying to bolster them, and I'm not gonna look, folks, whether you believe it or not, everybody's got an agenda. And I would not be surprised if there are some folks out there who have the agenda who are trying to make Disney look bad because they're trying to cut off at the knees what the future is, which is streaming services, which we've talked about ad nauseum here on this show. Like this is going to happen whether you like it or not. Theaters are not going to be as prevalent as they once were. Not saying they're all going away. Right. Some will, but
we got to keep in mind, Ray, we've been talking about this. I think Disney wants to buy the movie theaters, right? So it's like, it's a math game for them. If they might go like, all right, we're going to have to give Scarlett Johansson $15 million, $20 million, but we're going to make a $500 billion movie chain. So, that kind of math happens all the time.
And again, that's why this is.
Dr. Shook says theaters are going to die. Dr. Shook and Ray, I want to speak for you. I don't think they're going to die, but they are going to fundamentally change. That the experience has to change. We've been saying that.
Yeah.
But movie theaters will not go away. I don't believe that.
Right. And I've said this before too. I think there's going to be a lot less. I will not be surprised if there are theaters that close. Like there are going to be less theaters. Like
it's not going to be the same.
That aren't going to be able to.
Yeah.
Right. Things are changing. Things are changing.
Go ahead. I apologize, Ray.
No, I was going to say things are changing, and I get that change is difficult for some more than others, and I feel that there's a little bit of push. This was a chance for people who hate the streaming services to kind of take cheap shots at Disney and Disney Plus. I'm not sure. That's part. I feel that for some people that was what drove part of this story.
Well, and I want to say this too is that the streaming services are proving that $30 price point was right on. We've had people, fans of the show, be like, that'll never work. And I remember thinking it's absolutely, I think I said it will 100% work. And it totally is working.
Yeah.
It's totally working. It's a transition. But again, look, everyone's trying to milk the last dollar out of it. I said this again, when the yellow pages were dying, people are like, why do people still use that? Because those books make $1 million a year. $1 million is $1 million. It's the same thing. They will milk these theaters dry. And I believe personally that Disney or someone like Disney is going to buy an AMC Movies or a Regal Entertainment and turn it into the Disney theater experience. This is my prediction. And it's going to be like going to Disneyland for a few hours when you go to the movies. And they're going to charge you $40 or $30, but it'll be worth it because it's going to be like going to Disneyland for 2 hours. All right. And if you don't have that money, I understand. I'm actually very empathetic to that.
Yes.
Right? But that's what I think is going to happen. It's going to be a premium experience to go to the theater because I can watch it at home.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. I think that's what you're good. Yeah. The other thing I want to say though is that what's interesting is that I completely understand why Scarlett Johansson is doing this.
Yeah.
Totally. 100%. We've established that. I do want to say though, and I'm not saying this is right. In fact, actually the opposite. I'm saying it's very, very wrong. But after having been in Hollywood now for several years myself, and I'm going to actually relate this. Another one of my favorite podcasts to listen to is Bert Kreischer. He's the comedian.
A machine.
The Machine, yeah. And he told a story on his podcast a few weeks ago how when he was starting out, for those of you who don't know, the movie Van Wilder is actually based on his college life. This is true. This is true. Oh yeah, the movie Van Wilder with Ryan Reynolds.
I love that movie.
Yeah, that is based on Bert Kreischer's
it's also
college experience.
Deadpool Goes to College, because he was playing Deadpool in that film far before he was Deadpool.
For sure. But this was when Bert Kreischer was just breaking out as a comedian, he had a Rolling Stone piece done on him, and that piece was then used as the inspiration where he talks about his life and his college life. That piece was then directly attributed to was turned into the script for Van Wilder. His people, his manager, his agent went to Bert and like, Bert, we can sue. This is your story. This is your life story. They're not even hiding the fact they're using you to promote this movie, supposedly. And Bert's manager at the time, very old school Hollywood guy, was like, he's like, Bert, there's two kinds of people in this world and in Hollywood. There's people who work and there's people who sue. Which one do you want to be? And you mentioned that this is going to be Scarlett Johansson's last bit with Disney. And again, I'm not saying this is
in the MCU.
Right, for sure. Yeah. But this could be her last thing with Disney too by suing.
Right.
That's going to make the studio very hesitant to ever work with her again. And unfortunately, and this is true, especially this is something they have to brought into, and this is a bigger topic with women. If you're labeled as difficult to work with, if you're labeled as difficult to work with in Hollywood, you're screwed. If you're a woman that's labeled as difficult to work with in Hollywood, you're doubly screwed. That's a fact. Again, I'm not saying it's right. In fact, I'm saying it again, the exact opposite. But it is right now, unfortunately, the case in Hollywood. She has to be careful with how she handles this as well, because this could affect her career.
Her managers are doing this, and they've made her obviously the front cover of this thing. Fortunately, unfortunately. The other thing I'll say too is that we have to remember too, it's not like the Disney and Marvel Cinematic Universe have really given her what she was worth the last 10 years. That's a very important point. She's always been on the back burner with the other heroes. This movie was 10 years late, so I think she's owed what she's owed.
For sure.
And again, look, if the fans get behind her, look, we're seeing this now with the director of Suicide Squad.
James Gunn.
We're seeing it. It's like they fired him and now they want him back because it's like it was a stupid decision that one.
And they brought him back. Now he's on Guardians 3 and Guardians Christmas special.
So anything's possible in Hollywood. And that's the truth. All right.
For sure. I'm just saying it's a difficult. Again, you mentioned it's Hollywood. Hollywood is nuts. Hollywood is weird. It's very true. And again, like I'm not like giving a pass. I'm not saying it's in fact,
for sure.
I'm just saying what the reality of the situation is, because I even saw it when I was with WBDC, right? Where it's like, Warner Brothers and DC Comics. Like, it's just people in Hollywood hold grudges for the most minute, minuscule BS. And because they are the most sensitive people I've ever seen in my life.
Soft.
Which is fine. Look, I mean, it's okay to be sensitive. I'm not saying it's not, but there's also, again, in a time of cancel culture and all this other stuff where I'm saying people take things too far. And I worry for Scarlett Johansson down the road, because say these Disney people now go with other studios, this could have a ripple effect for her where she gets blacklisted for a few years. It could happen. I'm not condoning it. I don't want it to happen. I'm saying it is a reality of Hollywood.
The way things are right now is that she's going to get a free pass and someone will pick her up. Look for her to be in the DCU soon.
There you go. So, well, we're not talking about the DCU this week. We're going to have we're going to continue to talk. We're going to continue to talk about Marvel. Some good news from Disney and Marvel. It has been confirmed that Vincent D'Onofrio will be returning as the Kingpin in the Hawkeye TV series. This also is on the coattails of the fact that supposedly Daredevil will be in the new Spider-Man film representing Spider-Man in court. There's rumors of this. It sounds like they're going to start working in the Daredevil and Punisher and these other characters that were on the Netflix shows into the proper MCU via the new projects. I'm all for it. Vincent D'Onofrio was amazing as the Kingpin. I'm blanking on his name, so I can't just keep calling him Daredevil. The Daredevil was amazing. Looking forward to seeing them return. I think this is a great thing, and I'm all for this. Give me more Kingpin.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, Ray, and like I think it's important for people to remember that technically the Netflix shows are proper MCU. They
Right.
just predated Disney Plus, so it just those shows revolved around the films. I mean, they referenced them several times in the shows, but those shows were also very much rated R. So we'll
Yes.
see if they want to bring in
Yes.
Jessica Jones and everybody else if they do that. I think that'd be funny if Matt Murdock was the Peter Parker's lawyer. That would actually be pretty cute.
Yes.
I don't know how you could do Punisher in any of these films. We'll
No.
see.
Yeah. I mean, unless you had it where Punisher is hunting Spider-Man like he did in his first appearance in Amazing Spider-Man
True.
number 129.
That would be cool.
Like, but yeah.
It actually would be kind of cool to see him in U.S. Agent. But
That's another thing. You could have Punisher in a Thunderbolts
right.
/ Dark Avengers. Like
Right.
they could do some interesting things. I'm curious to see. And what's his name? John Bernthal, who of course was also amazing as Punisher. Would love to. He said it many times. He'd love to reprise the role. Anybody who's ever played Punisher wants to keep playing Punisher. Thomas Jane is still begging to come back as Punisher. So I mean,
like the role is just you have to be angry and kill people. Like that's I mean you could do that, right?
I could be, guys. I would be an amazing Punisher.
I'd be a horrible Punisher. I'd be like, you're horrible. You murdered 5 people. Let's dive into the psychology of that and understand why.
Yeah, no, I would. I shoot first, talk later.
You're dead. Let's dive into the psychology and understand why. Yeah. Oh yeah, I shot you. I don't know what voice.
Well, instead of asking why, now we're gonna ask what. As in, what if?
What if? Oh, yeah, a good transition. That gets it. That gets an A-. That one.
Thank you. So, a couple of things this week. First off, we got another new short trailer for What If, which again, we're only a couple of weeks from that releasing. Cannot wait. Also, they are mentioning now that in the Multiverse of Madness, Haley Atwell may return as Captain Carter briefly in a live-action Captain Carter role in one of the multiverses. I think this to me is keep leaning into everything you've established, Marvel. You've established all these amazing characters, all this amazing stuff. And if this is true, all this does is further Lee's theory that What If is part of the bigger Marvel MCU and could just be Doctor Strange seeing the beginnings of all these multiverses that we're going to get more of a Multiverse of Madness.
I 100% think that is what's going to happen. I think that everyone, for the obvious and horrible exception of Black Panther, is on the table. All right. And like I said, I think that is why we got what we got. This show's going to probably start off with some narration of someone saying the multiverse is open. Let's look at all the possibilities, right? And then anything we
maybe
see
the Watcher or somebody,
somebody, In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's already been established. It's something like that. There's like a narrator or something, or that Doctor Strange is in it. But no, I fully expect this is going to connect in some way, but loosely. Again, look, the art of these shows. There's certain shows like I believe that WandaVision, Captain America, and the Winter Soldier, and Loki. You cannot continue in the MCU without seeing those shows. But there are some shows you can, right? So I'm wondering if What If is one of those, like, if you don't see this, you'll be okay. But if you see this, you should know. I would not be surprised if we see something that goes into Thor, Love and Thunder. I would not be surprised if we see something that goes into Ant-Man, and so forth and so on. So I would not be surprised if the episode with Black Panther as a Ravager somehow explains what's going to go on with that. So I don't know. Okay. But I'm saying that, I think this is going to be a larger portion of what the multiverse is, a deeper explanation.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is this is going to be going on at the same time, by the way, as much like how Loki was going on was Black Widow came out. Shang-Chi is going to be, which I just had a new trailer as well, as Casey mentions in chat, is going to be out while What If is going on. Shang-Chi's out in 5 weeks, folks. It's that close.
And so, Ray, I should bring up too, just really quick on Loki. There was a theory we didn't really go into, which was that when Kang is realizing the timeline has shifted, when he says that that's the end of time, there was a theory out there that that's also the same time that Scarlet Witch becomes Scarlet Witch. Now, you and I didn't talk about it because it was a coincidence, we thought, but I did. There is some more information now that's got me quizzical. All right. And that's if you run the episodes next to each other, those two events do happen at the exact same time in the show.
Yeah.
That freaked me out a little bit. That's a little more than a coincidence.
Yeah, that's one heck of a coincidence if it is. But I mean, we'll see.
I just wanted to bring it up and acknowledge it because we didn't acknowledge it. But like when I saw that, I was like, all right, that's good. That's really good. So we'll see what happens with that. It would make sense too. Casey also wants us to recognize there was a new Shang-Chi trailer this week. Didn't really unveil anything new, but it was helping us. You know what would be nice, Ray? A Spider-Man trailer. That would be nice.
Yeah, I really am wondering why they haven't released the Spider-Man trailer yet.
Because it's totally gonna have the multiverse stuff in it. They know it.
Probably, which makes me think even more that it might be attached to Shang-Chi after a couple of weeks of What If.
Right.
So we'll see.
Or
we'll see. I mean,
or What If. That's what I would do. I would put it out.
Yeah.
A few days before What If, and then somehow lead it into What If.
Like, use it to hype up What If.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
it's possible.
What If's not something people really know about, and I can tell you, What If still doesn't have the drawing power right now that Loki did. People are like, oh, what is that?
No, yeah, they don't understand it yet. Right? Exactly. No, What If, for those of you who don't know, is a deeper comic book cut. It's something that came out in, I want to say, in the early 90s, which was basically just a series of one-offs where it was like, what if these key moments in the Marvel universe were different?
They did it in Star Wars too. They did it in Star Wars too. One of my favorite ones was real quick. I'm not going to dive too deep in this, I promise. But one of my favorite ones was Return of the Jedi, where like Vader survives somehow, and Yoda actually ends up killing the Emperor. And that one ends with Vader coming out with Leia and Luke, but he's in a white Vader suit, like a
white armor,
yeah. And it's just like, oh, okay. And then it's like the end, and I was like, but that was I was intrigued, like the father son,
there's other ones where Luke does turn to the dark side and Leia has to be the one who pulls him back. Right. Yeah, there were some of those. Yes. So
by the way, Vader in white armor, I've seen that in person. It's not a good look for him.
It's not as effective. Yeah. No.
And that's it. Yeah. I've seen pink too, but no, not black.
We've seen a lot of different Vader armors over
Vader
the years.
Pimp. We saw a few. Steampunk Vader. Yeah.
Yeah. But Casey points out, Vader was good. He would have different armor. Of course he would, for sure. But that's why he's a villain for the most part. He's a tragic villain, but he's still a villain. So we were talking about the recurrent phase for Marvel, which we know is going to continue now for years and years and years and years. And going through 2023, 2024, 2025. What's not coming out till 2025? GTA 6. Rockstar said this. They said, we have plans for it. We'll get to it. We're looking at 2025 right now. We're working on it.
They're absolutely correct too.
Yeah. And the thing is, and people are kind of freaking out because it's an interesting thing. First of all, they're freaking out because obviously they can't wait. They can't wait for this. But also, this was brought up, and I thought this was a very interesting point, that Rockstar has become a one game a generation publisher. They did GTA 5.
Whoa. They've become a one game a generation cash machine.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah. That's really what it is. That's really what it is. They did Red Dead last generation, Red Dead 2, and then they're going to do GTA 6 for this generation. And that's all they need. And they continuously update. All they do is just update the current games for the new consoles and continue to add to the online components. Much like we were talking about last week with Pro Evo Soccer becoming a service.
So I want to say this. Two things. This company, we're going to look back and realize they were way ahead of their time. They are way ahead of everybody else in terms of the business model. They figured it out. They probably helped to revolutionize it. Mm-hmm. And I wonder, Ray, I wonder if there was an executive meeting, and I hope that like the business me fantasizes that this happened, that there was a business meeting and they were talking about the future of Rockstar, and someone in there was just like, what makes a successful game? Kids keep putting the quarters in. Just keep them putting the quarters in the same game over and over again. And here's the thing, whether people like this or not,
we've gone full circle
because they want it. Like, I know people want it. I know you guys want Vice City back, but whether you like it or not, people are paying a lot of money to keep these games going, and people are loving it. I can't go on Facebook Games without seeing someone doing one of those stupid road courses in the sky. Yeah. And they are stupid. Yeah. All right. But I can't go on without seeing that. All right. My point is that it's actually pretty genius when you think about it, to expand the open world. Right? You're telling me now, if you didn't make more extensions to Zelda Breath of the Wild over and over and over again, you wouldn't keep playing it? People that love that game. I know they're making the second one, but Rockstar's ahead of their time. They totally have it figured out. Make a great game once, not a game every year that sucks.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing is
Or
that,
it's okay. Yeah.
and you're seeing that across the board. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Ubisoft announced their open world Assassin's Creed game, Assassin's Creed Infinity, which it's in the name, folks. Infinity, infinite, forever. Elder Scrolls Online, yeah. Fallout 76. We're seeing this across the board. Just like Rainbow Six, starting to see other IP and other studios starting to do this, and this could be. And again, Pro Evo Soccer from Konami. We're starting to see this consistently now, where people are realizing we can put out a game a generation and just update it for 5 to 7 years along with the console hardware.
If done right.
If done right.
Done right. Because Avengers is not going to be able to do that, even though they're still trying to.
I know they did the Black Panther expansion. I think just dropped. I have zero interest in it.
Yeah, I haven't played any of the expansions yet. You know,
after Hawkeye and Kate Bishop, I'm like, I'm done. The game is no. I'm just done. I don't care anymore. Sorry, Square Enix. You guys mucked it up. So
well, they're gonna make up for it when it comes to Guardians, I think. But yes,
I hope so.
That looks really fun. Guardians of the Galaxy.
It does look fun, but we'll see.
Yeah, if it's just
monotonous. We'll see. That comes out in October.
That's the problem with Avengers. It's just too monotonous, right? It's just too much of the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. And some people love the grind. I get that. There are people out there who love the grind, and people who love this game for it. I'm not one of those guys. Yeah, I'm 36 years old. I don't love the grind anymore. I don't care.
You are 36. Yeah.
I am. Yeah, I'm old. Not as old as you, but I'm old.
I don't feel old.
I feel old.
Well,
I woke up my hand. I think I'm starting to get arthritis, I think, in my left hand. Anyway, so.
This episode is brought to you by Bengay for right hand arthritis.
Yes. So anybody, look, I will take any sponsor. Jack in the Box, Dunkin' Donuts, Kohl's, Bengay, whatever.
Wraparound, Blade Shade.
Sure. Yeah, give me, Blade Shades. They're the ones that get my glasses. Look at this. See, look, ooh. Get your Blade Shades at bladeshades.com. Yeah. They do prescriptions.
Old Spice presents old guys talking sports and geekdom on Geeks Who Like Sports. Caitlin.
Hey, Old Spice is a big supporter of the geek community.
I know, because kids don't use deodorant.
Exactly. They are constantly at every con being like, hey, guys, wear deodorant. You stink. Like, they're literally giving out free samples at every convention.
Bad Fodder Figure says Icy Hot. I think Shaq's got that one pretty locked up. I mean, it's already Icy Hot has appeared in video games with Shaq. Just so everybody knows. But
if Shaq wants to appear on our show, though, we will be happy to plug Icy Hot.
I will. Yeah, he can say it as many times as he wants. He gets paid every time he says it live. Caitlin Lee says she wants to play Mythic Quest. I would like to play that game.
Oh, yeah, from the Apple show. When she said MQ in chat, I'm like, Master Quest? Like Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time? Like, what are we talking here? Like,
Mythic Quest.
Guys, again, I'm old. Don't use abbreviations. You got to spell it out. Because I think... When you're using abbreviation, I think of old people stuff.
And I got it.
Well, I don't watch as much TV as you. I play video games. You say MQ, and I'm like, Master Quest, Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. Yes, that's a great game. We should play that.
Speaking of Zelda, real quick, can I just say that my son got the Master Sword last week? Have I talked about this before? I don't think I've talked about this before. And he was
I don't know
so
if we talked
excited.
about it on the show, but I'm happy for him.
He got the Master Sword, man, and I watched it. Right? Yeah, yes, I'm sorry. Which is a little bit of an adventure to get because you got to go to the daycare area.
It's a pain in Breath of the Wild.
So he got it.
You get the Master Sword way too late in Breath of the Wild. I had issues with that game.
Well, and not only that, you can't really use it once you get it unless you're fighting Ganon. But like my point is that he got it, and I got to watch him get it for the first time, and it was like seeing a wonder of a 7-year-old. Like, I got the Master Sword. And I was like, yeah, man, you can go back in time with that. He's like, what? It's like, one day I will tell you all about that story. But you got the Master Sword, and he's got 2 Divine Beasts down, Ray. He's right there, man. Get the whole map unlocked. He's gonna do it.
I'm glad. I'm happy for him. That's good. He's one of us. But obviously you're talking about Ocarina of Time with the time travel, but also like for me, I think the big Master Sword, even though it was in the original Legend of Zelda and it wasn't other Zelda, the Master Sword for me is still a Link to the Past, where when you unlock it with the 3 pendants and then you can go, then the whole game opens up because then you're like, oh, you thought you were done? No, there's a whole thing called the Dark World now, which has twice as many temples. What?
Yay!
I'll never forget that as a kid. So, you know, when we were talking about Old Spice, we were talking about smelly geeks at convention. Speaking of
what a transition.
Yeah, speaking of, well, this is where I thought we were gonna. I had the transition there. PAX, one of the biggest, Old Spice, is one of the biggest sponsors of PAX as well. Typically, that is where they are passing out the deodorant to all the smelly geeks.
Sorry.
Look, I'm sorry, folks. Look, I went to conventions as my job for like 7 years. Some of y'all, like, do you not smell yourselves?
No, they don't.
Really, like, anyway, I'm not gonna get into that. Especially at Comic-Con. Comic-Con's way worse. Because it's San Diego and it's 110 degrees. Anyway, PAX shifted their tone. PAX has terrible ticket sales. For those who know, PAX will be back in person live, even though reduced attendance capacity. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for.
No worries.
In Seattle. But there was a lot of backlash from the gaming community, from both sides, both fans and publishers, developers, that basically like, we are not going to participate because at the time, PAX did not have a vaccination mandate. They have now gone back on that. The market has spoken. People are like, if you want to participate in PAX, we want there to be safeguards. And so PAX has said now that you will require either proof of a negative test within the 3 days up to the day you're attending, or your vaccination card, or if you're like me with California, you have a digital card now on your phone, which makes things super easy in your Apple Wallet.
Smart.
It is. It's basically the exact same. It's the exact same information on my physical card. It's just on my phone now.
Yeah.
And it's got a barcode. So, but yeah. So PAX has shifted tone. I don't know. Right now, supposedly it has not helped sales. I think it's too little too late, honestly, at this point, since the show's a month away.
It's too early. It was like we've said this before. It was too early to do this. I don't know why they didn't just do it virtually again.
Yeah.
Right?
So
it was not the right time to do it.
Yeah. This was as Bad Fodder said, it makes their feet hurt just hearing PAX. I mean, a lot of walking. A lot of walking.
Ray and I love PAX. We're PAX regulars. It's just it's just I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking with this one.
Yeah, this is gonna probably be, I'm not gonna say a disaster of a show, but it's gonna probably not be the glorious return to normal.
Well, I wonder if
that I think the guys who run PAX
it might be
wanted
to cancel it now too.
Oh, I think it's at this point. I mean, because they've sold tickets. It's not like they haven't sold any tickets. I mean, we're 5 weeks away. Right. PAX is the same weekend that Shang-Chi comes out. That might not help either, by the way.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So, but so that's I don't know. Like, I mean, good on you for trying PAX.
Yeah,
but
I'll agree with that too, right? Like
yeah,
I'll agree with that too. This isn't like an anti-PAX message. It's just this is more of saying like, oh man, what are you thinking? Come on, we like.
Yeah, no, and I get it, right? Like a lot of conventions, like the guys who run the conventions lost a lot of money the last couple of years, right?
They need to get it back. I think there's going to be a rush for tickets a few days before it begins when they go, okay, the tickets are half off, and
yeah, I can see that too.
There'll be a rush to get in, but it's going to be a mostly West Coast crowd, obviously.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think it's going to be a very heavy local Seattle crowd, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, hopefully
I'll say this. I think if I lived in Seattle, I would probably pick up at least a day pass for PAX.
Right. Or they could do what's right and say, Ray, we need you to come here to save the show. We're going to put you on the main stage for Geeks Who Like Sports, 1 hour, one night only, here at PAX West in Seattle. Everyone's going to know about it. Are you in? And we'll whisper back to them. Yes, absolutely. Whatever you need.
Yeah. Hey, if you guys want to pay for my plane ticket, my hotel, and put me up there in Seattle.
Ticket.
Oh, and
your plane ticket.
Yeah. I mean,
jeez.
Hours.
You could drive there if you really wanted to. I wouldn't do that. Actually, that would suck.
That would be like a 12-hour drive.
20 hours with you because we have to stop and eat. And every Jack in the Box on the way. Yeah, I would do that drive with you if I flew over to LA and we did it together. That'd be fun.
We could do that together. We could do that together.
All right, PAX, make it happen.
Yeah. Because I'm gonna say, if we were gonna do a straight, this is what I would do, right? It's 6 hours from LA. I would say we eat in LA.
Yeah.
6 hours shot straight up to San Fran. Eat in San Fran.
Yeah.
Then I would say stop in Portland.
Yeah.
And then we would be able to get to see. I think
I would do a 2-day trip and hang out in one of the cities for I'd stay in San Fran for a day just to hang out. Look, here's the deal.
No, you don't want to stay in San Fran.
This is what people don't realize. Again, it's funny. I was talking to somebody today from overseas and like, are you East Coast, West Coast? Which one's California? They actually said that to me. But what people don't realize is like, if you look at Los Angeles to Seattle, Ray, I believe that's like going from southern Georgia up to northern New York.
Yeah,
it's not exactly Maine, but it's like,
yeah.
I mean, it's a drive.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
It's right next to each other. There's just a couple states in between. This isn't the East Coast where we have 12 states in 50 miles.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's
miles.
California. The length of California. If you were going San Diego up to like Weed, California, which by the way is actual city in California, it's called Weed, California.
So we have an intercourse in PA.
Yeah.
Next to Blue Ball. It's not a joke. That is not a joke.
Yeah.
Intercourse and Blue Ball, PA are in the same area.
Yeah, some folks had some.
We have a Pittsburgh too. Ugh. Anyway, the point I was
they are the pits.
Is we had a lot of fun at PAX. It was one of my favorite memories was doing PAX. It was early on in the show. We were only like 25 episodes in.
It was not even. I think it was episode 21. Yeah. I want to say it was episode 21 was our PAX Live.
I look forward to our triumphant return with a full room.
Yeah, just not this year unless they pay for it.
Knocked away. Yes.
Yeah. If they pay for us. This episode brought to you by PAX. You go to the PAXsite.com. Go to PAXsite.com. Buy your tickets now. So, they probably definitely ain't flying anybody in right now because they have no money. Anyway, speaking of folks who might lose some money, we're moving to the sports section of the show, and also speaking. Yes, and also speaking of COVID. We got a lot of stories actually coming out of the training camps have started. We got a lot of stories. Kadarius Toney, first round draft pick for the Giants, cannot practice because he already has COVID because he's a moron. Because he what a waste.
Way now, Ray. Come on.
I hated this draft pick when we drafted him, and you've already made me hate you as a player. Like, I am already not on your side because you are already proving to be an absolute stupid idiot. So Kadarius Toney, you're a bum. I hope you get better. I hope you don't suck as a player, but you're clearly a moron. So there's that. Carson Wentz is already hurt. He hurt his foot. He's out for an indefinite amount of time with the Colts.
It's incredible, isn't it? That one was kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah, it just I feel so bad for the guy, but like the dude just made it glass.
You know, it's funny about Eagles fans, all right, which I'm one of technically. I'm an Eagles fan. Is it like, I like Carson Wentz, so I don't want anything bad to happen to him. Yeah. But Eagles fans like, well, what about the draft pick we're supposed to get back? I'm like, guys, I hate to be the logic engine here, but like,
you were not going to get that pick.
We were not going to get that pick, but also it's like, again, not his health withstanding, like, I don't want anything bad to happen to him. Like, my attitude's like, we might have just dodged a pretty large bullet here with him not being here. I'm not saying that gleefully.
Yeah.
But it's like, I think we're focused on the wrong thing. If you're focused on the draft pick, we don't deserve a draft pick if he's hurt. Like, that's the whole point of the trade.
Well, I mean, and the thing is, again, you're still getting a draft pick. It's about it. We talked about this when it happened. It's about a difference in probably about 20 spots in the draft, right? It's either if the Colts do well, you get like a back end of the first round pick. If they do poorly, you get an early second round pick. So you're still getting a pick. And trust me, when you're talking about the 20 to 40 range in the draft, you're getting about the same caliber of player. So calm down, Eagles fans. I know it's hard for you, but yeah, no, and trust me, I'm from a Giants fan who yells and screams and has this whole thing called a Ray rant. I completely understand. I get the pot calling the kettle black here,
right.
But yeah. So, but yeah, so there's that. And the other quarterback news, of course, the big one probably, Aaron Rodgers, of course, will be playing at least one more year in Green Bay, and had the most scathing 30-minute press conference where he ripped the organization apart, and boy, did they deserve it. I actually completely understand where Aaron Rodgers is coming from now. I think he did a great job of clearing the air. I think that he kind of showed. We already kind of expected some of this stuff, but the level of detail he went to and pointing out the fact about how poorly the Packers have treated some of their most beloved veterans over his entire career. Even if he didn't mention him, but you could really go all the way back to the end of Brett Favre's career. And this has kind of been the Packers' MO for almost 20 years now, that they really kind of treat their veterans terribly. And it really says something about the organization and the front office. And then, you know what? Good for Aaron Rodgers, who really has nothing to lose. He's made his money. He's got his MVPs. He's got his Super Bowl ring. Jeopardy's waiting for him when he's ready. You know, like he threw the organization under the bus. And honestly, I actually support him 100% on this because it needed to be happened. He needed to kind of blow the whistle.
He really didn't hold back at all.
No,
it was pretty funny actually if you get the chance to watch it. But like, that's a guy who knows he holds all the cards. It's also really bad for team bonding in terms of the organization, but it can also be really good for team bonding if the coach plays it right. But look, we always get the constant reminder. We're going to talk about this in multiple stories today. We get the constant reminder that this is a business and the players are assets. And some organizations have they're that and nothing more mentality. Some of them have a little bit more of no, these are prized possessions and we need to take care of them mentality. Depends on the organization. But, I talk about this all the time in my house. These guys are almost all expendable and every single one of them will not be there for the tenure of the team. So, when guys get traded or signed or get bad deals, that is part of the business. And I always tell fans, be careful how much you get into the business side because it can take your fandom away if you're not careful. Yeah. Right? Nobody wants to find out that their team is run by a bunch of morons. All right?
Yeah. Or your favorite comic book company.
Dun, dun, dun. No, it's true.
Yeah.
All right. So, I'm just saying, Aaron Rodgers is great. He's a Hall of Famer, right? But he's coming to the end of his career. He's doing what he does. This is how it works. And look, people tend to take the athlete side, and I get that. But I always said, it is never black and white in sports. These
for sure.
These owners and businesses put out an incredible amount of money, and again, just from a pure business standpoint, I'm not talking ethics right now. Ethics is a totally another conversation when it comes to owners, right? It's a two-way road. So, again, you would have to understand that if you're running your own business, and I'm not insinuating anything here. If you're running a business and you had someone that did a lot for your team or did a lot for your business over the course of time, but they were not as effective as they used to be, you'd have to make a decision. Some people go one way, some people go a different way. I'll give you a perfect example of a team who does this the opposite way, and it doesn't benefit, is the San Jose Sharks. They really take care of their veteran players. They really do. And they also never win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Okay? And I think a lot of the reasons they haven't won the Stanley Cup or really gotten closer to it, I know they were there once, is because they continue to bring back aged players that just kind of want to keep playing. And it's not going to win the Stanley Cup. Sorry. So.
No, it's a good point.
But
it's a good point.
You can be a proud San Jose Shark fan. Sorry. You can be a proud San Jose Shark fan. I mean that. I like that organization. I support how they do things, but I just don't think they're ever going to win.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. It is a very good point. It is a fine line to walk. It is a very difficult balance to strike, for sure. But yeah, I mean, even Rodgers even calling out his heir apparent, Jordan Love, that was
a little bit much.
Yeah, which by the way, again, talk about pot calling the kettle black. Remember, Aaron, that was the exact same thing that you did that happened with you with Brett Favre. So it is. I get his frustration, but it's also interesting how much different things have changed, because I remember when this happened with Brett Favre 17 years ago or so, that Favre was much more easily painted as the bad guy because he didn't throw the organization as much under the bus. So it's also Rodgers is also very savvy using the media to he's also very media savvy, using the media to his advantage to make him look more like the bad guy. Whereas Favre was vilified for a couple of years for that situation, and also beyond for different reasons, because he's a weird old pervert. But but at the moment, just football's sake, it was Favre, the organization had turned it on Favre as much as he had turned it on them. Rodgers has basically squarely put the blame in the court of the Packers with this press conference and everything he's done, which I think is also he's much more media savvy, and credit to him. Whether again ethically you agree with it or not, it was a very good chess move.
I agree with you.
Yeah. Speaking of folks who aren't being treated fairly or properly, we now move to the Olympics. It needs to be brought up. This is a thing that triggered a lot of folks. Well, not a lot of folks, a certain section of the population this week. Fair. Simone Biles removed herself again. Best gymnast in the world, the most decorated Olympic gymnast ever, especially
greatest gymnast of all time. No, I know you know that. I just want to make sure that for the audience, we're not talking about the best in the world. This is the greatest gymnast in the history of gymnastics.
Yeah, I was about to say she's the most decorated gymnast ever. Like she's got more medals, more championships, more anything than anyone. We talked about this a couple of weeks
named
ago.
After her than anyone.
I was going to say we talked about this like I think last week where Simone Biles has created a move that is now named after her.
Multiple moves.
Yeah. And when she performed, people talked about how she seemed to be underperforming, that there seemed to be something bothering her.
Right.
And we now know that she was dealing with some mental health issues, and she's decided to withdraw for the sake of the team, the good of the team, the rest, and for herself. And some people have come out and, speaking of trying to vilify her, saying she's un-American and unpatriotic, and she's a disgrace. And I sincerely hope you jump off a bridge. To everyone who said this to her, I sincerely.
Right. Whoa, that's 0 to 1,000 there. Come on, you disagree. You disagree.
I could. Okay, yes, I completely disagree. But I think you should jump off a bridge.
That's a bit. It's like the opposite of what we're trying to accomplish. Into some a very good depth of water that you could survive. Right, well, if you jump off a bridge. In case he says in chat, how about just stepping on a Lego?
Sure,
fine. Want you to jump off a bridge?
Fine.
Mental health. Jump off a bridge.
Yes. You know what'd be good for my mental health? You out of here. So yeah, look.
Goodbye, honestly, haters.
Yeah, there you go. I love goodbye, haters.
Jump off a bridge.
Yeah, so honestly, here's the thing.
Oh my god! All right.
First off, this story is still kind of developing because now there's also Yahoo Sports reported that part of the problem is that, and this has been known for a while, is that she's been taking Ritalin since I think she was 9, or she said she was a child. I think that came out. Somebody else reported she's been taking it for a long time. There's a limit to how much that. First off, you can't get it in Japan. It's an illegal drug in Japan. That is a fact. But for athletes who are competing, you can get an exemption, but it's a very small amount that's allowed into the country. So there's also the possibility that, and again, this is developing, that here is somebody who has her prescribed medication that helps her with her anxiety and her ADHD, now suddenly doesn't have the thing that helps her get this under control, and she has an anxiety attack, and obviously she decides for her mental health she can't handle it, and understandably so. It's literally the largest stage in the world, and if you have an anxiety problem, yeah, I could see why you might have a panic attack or two, But even if that's not the case, the fact that she is trying to we need to stop vilifying, and we need to remove the taboo of mental health in this country. And yes, as Casey points out, anxiety attacks in gymnastics in particular can lead to a very serious injury.
Deadly.
Because it's something we need to stop. It needs to be not less taboo in this country. We need to not.
We need to break the stigma behind mental health.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to say.
No, I'm here for you. I'm here for you.
Yes.
I'm very passionate.
Now I'm having a panic attack.
Don't have a panic attack. I'm here for you. Don't jump off a bridge. I'm here for you.
I'm not jumping off a bridge. I might throw somebody off a bridge.
May I jump in? Because this is something I'm very passionate about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can in gymnastics. You can jump in.
I was talking about mental health, but that's okay. All right.
Yeah.
We are so missing the picture on this topic in this country right now, and it comes down to the polarization of the country and everybody feeling like they have to pick a side. I have a few things to say about this. Everyone seems to be about mental fitness and mental health until they disagree with the reason why. And I think that that's complete horse poop.
Yeah.
Okay? We're either serious about it or we're not. And there is a major stigma about mental fitness and mental health in this country that we have to break. People said it's un-American. I have things to say about that, Ray. Because I'm going to tell you how American this was. All right. And how much we're missing the darn point on this.
Yeah.
Okay. Simone Biles goes to her team in the team competition and says, I can no longer compete, to her teammates.
Yeah.
Right? Horrible. It's not good. Okay. She had to remove herself. People calling her a quitter. I don't even think that's the point. She had to remove herself from the competition. In gymnastics and the team competition, when somebody steps down, you can't replace her. The rest of the gymnasts, all three of them have to compete. They got a silver medal. They stepped up to the plate to support their teammate. That is American. I'll take it another step for you. Simone Biles pulls out of the all-around competition, says I can't compete. And our gymnastics teams, which by the way, has Asian Americans, African Americans, white Americans, whatever we are, Caucasian, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Step up, and Suni Lee wins the gold medal.
Yeah.
Stepped up to the plate. One of them went down, and they picked her up on her shoulders and won the gold medal anyway.
Yep.
And we are still talking about her being a quitter. You are missing the point of the story, of the action. She put her mental health first.
Yeah.
That's not wrong. I've got people saying to me, she should have known before the Olympics and pulled out. I highly, highly doubt she was feeling any anxiety before she went to Tokyo. Number one. Number two, she gets there. There's no fans. There's no family. It says 2020 everywhere, even though it's 2021. Completely different Olympics than ever before. Complete unknowns. I can see how that might trigger someone's anxiety.
Yep.
That's another point I'm making right now. Third point I keep hearing, well, she took the opportunity away from somebody else. There are 4 alternate gymnasts there that you don't see. Yeah. 4, one of which is now competing. You don't know what you're talking about. And the sad part is this is a Google search away.
Yeah.
Because you have to be right or you have to be wrong. It's horse shit. Excuse me, Ray. Beep. Yeah, we'll do that later.
Yeah.
All right. We've got to break this stigma. I understand people out there, if you don't want to call her a hero, I actually understand both sides of this argument. But we have to have this discussion. Okay? Yeah. Heroes are the people that serve in the military that really don't have a choice in environments like this, where if they have a mental health issue, someone might die. That's heroism because they do have to push through it. This is not war. This is the Olympics. It is competition.
Yeah.
She stood up for herself and her mental well-being and her teammates. And by the way, she doesn't want to die by missing a move.
Yeah.
I heard this one. Well, Michael Jordan never would have pulled out of a game. Oh my goodness. 2 things. Number 1, Michael Jordan doesn't die if he doesn't play in a game. Okay. Number 2 is that Michael Jordan has said in the media landscape of today with Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and everything, he doesn't know if he could do what he did.
It'd be completely different.
He would have been vilified beyond belief.
Yep.
That's why I hate those comparisons, by the way. And we're acting like no great athlete ever has had a bad night. We have to break the stigma. I've said this to somebody, they said she's a quitter. I said, okay, whether I agree with you or not. Okay. What about the mental health side of it? No answer. Because there's a stigma behind it. I can keep going through this. Okay. Yep. There's nothing wrong with putting your mental health first. Okay. It is disappointing. I said this on one of my messages. It is disappointing. You have a right to be disappointed, I think.
For sure.
It's disappointing.
For sure.
You want to see
if you're a gymnastics fan, you want to see the best in the world.
I get it, but you don't have a right to be mad at her. You don't have a right to judge her. I said this too. If you're not 4'8", a black woman that happens to be the greatest athlete of all time in your sport, you don't have much ground to stand on with this because you have no idea what she's going through. And you're sitting behind a computer typing about it, which is totally another larger problem. I'm on a soapbox here, and I apologize. But I just think, I said this too, Ray, that when everyone's telling you to do something and you still stand up and say no, which, by the way, she's not the first black woman to do that of note. It's courageous. We don't have to use the word hero. I understand if people don't want to use that word. I think that should be reserved for a military. I just said that a minute ago. Those are heroes. Yep. I don't think athletes are heroes. Okay. Courageous, brave. I think those words apply.
Yeah.
Quitter. I actually think it's irrelevant. I mean, you can call it whatever you want. Her team stepped up. The American team stepped up to take her teammate. Last point, Ray, and I'll shut up. I promise. There is a team in the Olympics called the Russian Olympic Committee.
Yeah.
Not Russia, because they were forced as a team to take steroids by their country. Is that where you want to live? Is that what we
No.
want here? Because that's what you're actually requesting her to do. Do what you're told and get. I'm a competitor, obviously. I'm getting pissed here, right? I compete. Yeah. I'm an athlete. I was an athlete my whole life. I'm a coach. I live on competition. All right? I don't blame someone when they say I can't do it, and it's the best thing if I don't. Disappointing, but I don't call them a, quitter. That's just
Well, and that's the thing is a lot of folks don't realize what they sound like when they're when they don't realize what they sound like. What you said, they sound like they're Russians when they're
Russians.
Exactly. When they're doing this, and Dan mentions in chat that it takes courage. You mentioned it, courage. It's courageous what she's doing, and especially on the stage, knowing that she's going to draw the ire of a certain section of the population. Well, yeah, I mean the world really. Yeah, but I mean that's the thing. I mean it's one of those things where the Olympics are supposed to bring us together every few years.
Yeah, we're not,
and and that's the problem is that for once again, instead, even the Olympics have become dividing us. I mean, this is even going on with the weed issue. With there's actually a pro-weed campaign going on with the Olympics now. When the one American runner was forced to exit the Olympics because she smoked weed.
Right.
There is such hypocrisy and
by the way, for her mental health, by the way. That's why she was doing it.
There is such hypocrisy around the Olympics and international sports and the International Olympic Committee in particular, and all of this. It's such a joke, and it's a shame because
I am sorry. I have to bring this last thing because this is major. And Ray, we should discuss this. I'm sorry. We also have to remember that before this competition, the IOC in gymnastics told her that her moves will be at a reduced difficulty, right? To even the score, if you will, for the other gymnasts under the quote, we do not want them attempting the moves because they're too difficult. The equivalent of that is telling Wayne Gretzky that every other assist you will get will count because you're too good. She's under that pressure too.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. I would have sat out on that alone.
Yeah, no, it's or it's like raising the net 3 feet from Michael Jordan or something. Right. Like Michael, you have to shoot in this basket over here. Right. Everybody else goes to this one, but you got to shoot.
You're too good.
Yeah, it's
ludicrous.
It's a whole nother show. Honestly, the International Olympic Committee is talk about corrupt organization.
Where's our backing her on that? Nobody seems to be talking about. Oh, they go, yeah, that's really unfair. Are you serious? Like we should be losing our minds over that.
Yeah.
Right. But we're calling her a quitter.
Right.
Like the stigma behind mental health.
Yeah. She does the hardest gymnastics moves in the world, moves that nobody else can do. And the International Olympic Committee is like, we're going to change her. I mean, I hate to say this, but in terms of a historical context, it's like, hey, Simone, your moves count for 3/5 of whatever else's moves.
I don't see how that's a bad comparison right now. Honestly, Ray, I don't go there too often, but I don't see how that's a bad comparison.
Yeah, I mean, it's and for those who are history buffs, you understand what I'm talking about when I say 3/5. So, and if you don't, I would recommend you
Google.
I would recommend you Google African American voting rights.
Everyone's an expert on women's gymnastics. You know what? I'm not an expert. I did very little research and found all this out.
Yeah. So, but yeah, all right. So, moving on, Ray. We got our friend Tidy.
That was a little LEE rant. They happen.
Yeah, we got our friend Tidy Screens just popped up into chat. He's talking. He's an Astros fan. We're gonna get to baseball in a bit. He knows something about cheating.
Yeah,
sorry,
you do.
Couldn't resist. Couldn't resist, buddy. Sorry, but
Major League Baseball. I hate it.
Yeah, we'll get to baseball in a bit, but I want to use Texas as the transition here because now we're going into college football.
Yay.
So this was a big deal. Texas and Oklahoma, it has been announced that the next few years will be joining the SEC, turning that even more into a super division. Our good friend Ray Santiago basically said, why don't they just add a couple more teams, call it the Southwest Division? And I'm kind of at that point now too, where it's kind of like college football. Just make divisions like you have in the pros.
Or just be what you are, which is the minor league for the NFL. That's what it's.
Yeah, like I mean, at this point, now you're starting to let players get played for their likeness, and you're starting to let sponsors and all this other stuff, and it's kind of like you're 50 years behind the rest of the world. Come up with a larger, do a 16-team playoff, have regional divisions, and That's all you need. I don't understand what, as this expands, because the Southeast at this point, the SEC expands almost into the West at this point. It's no longer just the Southeast. Like you're the South now with Texas and Oklahoma almost. I mean, and as you grow and take from other divisions, it's like just make one big college football thing and just break it up by regions and just have it be divisional play, because it's kind of getting ridiculous at this point. And of course, it's going to be better for these schools. Obviously, look, the SEC is the premier division in college football, the premier conference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's going to be better for these schools in the long run when they join. I think it's 2025.
They have the record for like most national championships consecutively. I think it was like 10 or 11 or something like that in a row.
Yeah, it's something like ridiculous. And I think we're at the point now where college football as a whole, like you said, Lee, like the minor leagues, they have to reorganize. They have to reorganize. I think they have to expand the playoffs, which I know they've been talking about. But I think at this point, it's kind of just becoming ridiculous as some conferences shrink and one continues to grow, that you just need to reorganize at this point.
Think it. Like I said, like the money being there takes a lot of it. Like there's a reason why teams are running the SEC is because you make so much more money being part of that conference. Like the SEC is in a point now where when you look at college football from a divisional league or conference standpoint, that's the premier conference by far. I mean, that's where the best football takes place. You might get an outlier from another conference that gets good every once in a while, more than every once in a while. There's plenty of good football teams in the country. But in terms of the top competition, you want to get drafted, you're the best football player in the world, quote unquote. You want to go to the SEC.
Yeah.
You don't want to go to
Alabama or LSU.
You don't want to go to Penn State. You don't want to. And I love Penn State now, right?
Yeah.
It took me a while to come back to that one, but you're not going to UND, right?
Yeah, you're not going to Rodgers,
right?
Even like it's like it's not happening. Like if you're a premier
athlete,
like the
Wolverines. I mean, like you got a few teams out there that
for sure, of course, USC and UCLA. Like there's still Stanford.
No one's rushing to the Mountain West Conference. You know what I mean?
Right? Yeah, exactly. Nobody wants to go to the. No offense to the University of Wyoming, but nobody's going to the University of Wyoming for football.
I haven't even heard anything about California teams in a while. You know what I mean? Since that.
No, that's true. I mean, it's USC and UCLA are good, but they haven't been relevant to the national conversation in years since the Reggie Bush days.
Again, there's these little regional football kind of battles that people really love, which is great. But in terms of like, if I was looking at the minors, AAA is the SEC and everything else drops from there.
Yeah. No, that's a very good way of looking at it. And again, and that's the thing too is that maybe, and that's the thing too. Maybe you do it by like you said, like kind of like comparing it to baseball, A ball, AA, AAA in certain regions or certain levels. You already have D1, D2, D3. I think the whole college landscape just really needs to be reorganized.
Yeah, well, can you imagine, Ray? Imagine this scenario: a school that actually figures out they could actually push the student athlete moniker with the academics being just as important in the SEC conference, actually make more money for their school that way, but they don't think that way.
Yeah. No, that's the problem. And Tidy Screens mentions that UCLA is thought of more as basketball. That's true, Tidy, but UCLA's had a pretty good football team here and there over the years as well. But I mean, they are basketball. Obviously, they have many, many championships, of course, in basketball.
I'd say most West Coast schools are basketball first, right? I mean,
UCLA is. I would say USC is more football.
They were. I would say they were. All right. Yeah. I mean, since Leinart and Reggie Bush, which is should be overturned at this point, but
the Pete Carroll, it should be, and the Pete Carroll days.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of USC football, that's where my head goes. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great basketball teams in the South too. So, but yeah,
for sure. I mean, I think it's interesting actually how basketball does seem to be a bit more evenly distributed throughout the country, but there is also still a heavy emphasis on the South with Duke and North Carolina and whatnot. So
again, for those of you that listen to the show that are not from the South, that haven't lived in the South, you have to understand, especially in the SEC area, college football is so much bigger than the NFL. So much bigger. All right. Again, when I lived in Florida, I'd say, who's your NFL team? I get a lot. Sometimes it's, the Saints, sometimes I like this team. But what a college football? Oh, I am Roll Tide, right? Or just Auburn, 100%,
or LSU or whatever.
It was that was their team, right? And then the funny part is when their team got knocked out, usually they'd root for another SEC team, which was always weird to me.
Was always weird. Yeah, that was like I was like I remember when people would root for like the Cowboys when the Giants were eliminated, and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
what?
This does not compute.
Yeah, like we're in our division. I'm like, yeah, but that's not how that's not how it goes.
No. Well, that's not how it works. Goes.
Well, I mean, that's the thing too. And that's the thing too, right? Is that it's also, I mean, and no offense to the South, but like they also probably root more for college football because their college football teams are good. Yeah. When there's their professional football teams, typically are not. The Falcons are losers. The Saints are traditionally losers. The Bucks without Brady are traditionally losers. Yeah, like it's. I mean, since the Marino days are losing. Yeah, I mean,
we're talking relevant to now, but look, it's funny because people outside in the Northeast are always shocked by our, kill or be killed attitude. And people in the South, we're always surprised by you like each other? Like, no, but you root for each other? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get it. But to each their own. Speaking of to each their own, I guess. I mean, as it's so this was one of the craziest trade deadlines in baseball in years. We are going to move to baseball, and we're basically just trades in general. I know, Lee, but this was every team in the last 96 hours was involved. All 30 baseball teams made at least one move in the past 4 days. And lots of pieces moving around. The Cubs, what they call the hero roster from 2016 that ended the curse, has been completely blown up. Chris Bryant went to the Giants. Rizzo. I was going to say that. Oh, Baez went to the Mets. Rizzo went to the Yankees. Everybody. Kimbrel went to Kimbrel wasn't part of that team in 2016, but still a big piece. Went to the White Sox. The Cubs blew it up for prospects and pieces. I will say this, a lot of these guys are rentals. Who knows? Maybe the Cubs surprise people and sign a couple of them back in the offseason. Because the Yankees have done that before. They did it with Aroldis Chapman in 2016. Although I wish they left him in Chicago. I can't stand him. Aroldis Chapman, that's what I call him. For those of you who watch the MLB show streams, I can't stand him. Thank you. Tidy screens. The Astros made a lot of trades. I mean, a lot of under the radar trades. The big ones for the Astros. This was the most puzzling trade to me. Is the Mariners traded their closer and one of their biggest bullpen pieces to the division rival Houston for a lesser bullpen piece and an infielder. Now, they did end up getting a legit closer from Tampa Bay with Diego Castillo, which, again, by the way, Tampa Bay, who right now is running away with the number one wild card spot, you go and trade for Nelson Cruz, which was a big bat that they did need, and then you trade away your closer. Huh? Tampa Bay's weird. And I get it. Like, teams like Seattle and Tampa Bay, they're money, they are a bit penny pinchers, right? They are not the bigger market teams. They are not the Mets, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Chicago teams, the Dodgers, right? They don't have the payrolls that these teams typically have. And so they have to really kind of pinch pennies. And if they make one move, they got to get rid of somebody else to make up for it. But if you're competing, playoff revenue means a lot, guys. So I mean, if it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what these smaller teams do, especially that are still in it. Seattle is only a game out of the wild card, and I think they made bad trades. Tampa Bay is leading the wild card, and they made one good trade, one bad trade. Tidy is adamant. He desperately wants to talk about the Miles Straw trade for Houston, which I didn't even hear about because, no offense, Tidy, but like that Miles Straw is like a tiny little piece to everybody for a bullpen piece. And I get it that you guys have been struggling in center field to replace George Springer, but again, a small market team, you should have paid George Springer. You didn't want to have a problem in center field. Sign one of the best center fielders in baseball, given the money he wants. Like, that's the thing. Houston's nowhere even close to the luxury tax threshold. So it's one of those things where teams making curious trades. Again, Houston's big problem trying to put their bullpen together. I mean, yeah, Kyle Tucker's a bad outfielder, man. They made an error last night. Oh well. I mean, you guys still won. You beat the Giants. That was a good game, yeah. But I mean, yeah, dude, that's the thing. Tidy's bringing up that he's very worried about his team losing guys in free agency, specifically Carlos Correa. Like, you're a smaller market team. These guys, even with the cheater moniker, are gonna command a hefty price tag on the open market from Boston and Chicago and New York and LA. And if you don't want to pay them, I don't know what to say, man. That's on your ownership. You know what I mean? I will say this. I wish the Yankees would pay their guys too, because they've gotten really really clenching their purse strings lately the last couple of years after deciding we're going to take on Giancarlo Stanton's $30 million a year contract and help out the Miami Marlins. What? But yeah, sorry, I went off on a whole other thing here. It was a crazy trade deadline. The Yankees traded a bunch of prospects. We got Anthony Rizzo, who hit a home run in his debut. We got Joey Gallo from Texas. We got Andrew Heaney from Anaheim, who sucks. I don't know why we made that trade. Again, everybody going everywhere. Baez to the Mets. He's not going to be with Francisco Lindor. Everybody moving around everywhere. I'm going to say this, though. Dodgers won it. They got Max Scherzer and Trey Turner. They got the best pitcher on the market. They got one of the best infielders. Dodgers are going to win the World Series again. I'm calling it right now. They're going to beat the White Sox, who I think are going to win the American League. Lee, do you have any thoughts on the trade deadline? As I went rambling there, all over the place with it. I was as crazy as the deadline was.
Yeah, no.
Great. Moving on. Cool. Oh yeah, I even forgot Adam Frazier went to the Padres. Like, everybody's making a ton of moves here.
Ray, I'll say it again. I admire your excitement about baseball, but they've lost me completely. I'm not going to give them any of my time. That's just where I'm at. And again, anybody listening to the show, if you're a baseball fan, there's nothing to do with you. This is my personal decision of I cannot support Major League Baseball. I refuse to go back right now until they make some changes.
And that's completely fair. So there you go. And again, big change. One big change, get rid of Rob Manfred, which we are both in agreement on.
I would go back in a heartbeat. Look, I say this every episode. I love going to baseball games. I'm a Phillies fan. I cannot support that league right now. Again, from a COVID standpoint, from a cheating standpoint, from a rules standpoint, I just cannot get behind that league right now. And that includes me watching my own team. I'm not a hypocrite about this, you know, like yeah. I said, it's just I can't get behind that game right now. Lots of reasons why.
The Phillies made a really big trade. They got a new starter and a new reliever, Ian Kennedy, and they're going to make a push to the division because Mets. By the way, I love the rag on Mets fans because they have this inferiority complex.
Myself.
Yeah.
If I might say so myself.
Yeah. I mean, remember, folks, remember to all the Mets fans out there, if you were in any other division in baseball, you would be in third or fourth in most of the divisions in baseball. You're only in first because the Braves are horribly banged up and because the Philly bullpen is disastrous. But Ian Kennedy, I think, might be go a long way to fixing that, as they're going to make a run at the worst division in baseball. And it is the worst division in baseball. I'm sorry. You look at it, it's the truth. At least right now.
I don't care. That's what I'm trying to say.
And there you go. They don't care.
I don't care about baseball right now.
So there you go. Fantastic.
And I say that with a heavy heart. I do want to say that.
Yeah. By the way, Lee, do we have a mashup this week? We're not doing any Mad Libs this week. So
I can think of one very quickly if we keep going.
Cool. We got time. I just realized that. Because I meant to ask you before the show. I was like, hey, are we doing another Mad Libs or are we doing
we could do one quickly if you want to do one in full at the end. It's up to you.
No, I mean, it's up to you. If you want to, we got more topics. Going from trades in baseball to trades in other sports. We're going to start with hockey. The big one is Marc-Andre Fleury to the Blackhawks. Yeah. This was a shocker. I did not see this coming. Lee, I want to get your thoughts on this because is the Chicago, do they think this is going to get them back in the playoffs? Is this going to get them over the hump? They made a lot of moves here in the offseason to try and I feel like they've gotten younger in some aspects, but older in others. And I mean, obviously Fleury's still got gas in the tank, but
yeah, I don't think the Blackhawks had much to do with this one, Ray. I think that Vegas is trying to get him to retire and they wanted him out of there. He just bought an $11 million home in Vegas.
Oh,
all right. There was some goaltending controversies there towards the end of last season and the season prior. So I think this is a move for Vegas to try and get him to retire, if you want to be honest with you. Because if he retires, the salary goes away. So, what happened is they probably talked to Chicago, said, "You want to try this?" They said, "Yeah." I think he'll play just because that's the way.
Oh yeah.
But
He's not done.
no, but
he's not done.
I think it's a bad look on Vegas more than Chicago. But Chicago's got nothing to lose.
Sure. Oh yeah.
So I think this is more of a reflection on Vegas. I mean, Chicago's still dealing with what we knew was going to happen after their cup runs, which is their cap was horribly managed at that time.
Yeah.
They did win 3 times though in 6-7 years. So, that's the trade-off, right? Now you're not that good. So we'll see what happens. Is this going to bring them a cup? No. Are they going to be more competitive? A little bit.
Yeah,
that's about it.
No, he'll steal some games for sure.
Yeah, it was kind of a classless move, but we talked about this earlier in the episode too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the same thing. They're assets. So,
right.
We'll see what they do. I don't like that move at all. That was rough.
Yeah, no, I thought that was a weird move too. And speaking of weird moves by Vegas, they then sent Ryan Reeves to the Rangers for. I was okay with it because
that. Yeah,
it was. I mean, we only gave up a draft pick.
Yeah,
like I'm kind of okay with it. My worry is that it feels like the moves the Buchnevich trade was I get it. Buchnevich was going to get paid. Like them two talk about cap issues and so you got like a third or fourth liner coming back to add some depth and some toughness. I feel like the Rangers though. I feel like this is almost like Tom Wilson haunts their nightmares. It feels like because I feel like these are moves specifically to make the team tougher, and which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but that it almost feels like because of everything that happened last year, that it's a direct response to a lot of what happened last year.
It totally is. But Reeves can play. You know what I mean? Just like Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson can play too. These are not traditional goons.
Right.
I think that's a mistake. A lot of people, that guy's a goon. Like, no, there's just tough players, right? Like, they're still very good. They can score. Ryan Reeves is a great pickup for the Rangers. He'll bolster that lineup. And like I said, you got to respond. But I'm going to say this again, Ray. I think we talked about this off the show, that the entire Metropolitan Division is gearing up to beat one team, and it's not the Rangers and it's not the Capitals. It is the New York Islanders. And Islanders fans are always upset that their team's under the radar, and they're right now. They're the best team one of the best teams in the East.
Yeah,
right? They're a top 2 team in the East twice. The only team they haven't beaten in the East over the last 2 seasons is Tampa Bay. So that's the team to beat. Okay, and they're getting better. So I think the Flyers are making moves. I think the Rangers are making moves to beat that team. I think Washington right now is much more focused on Ovechkin and doing him right. Talk about doing a player correctly.
Yeah, he's gonna make a run at Gretzky's record. Right. He said that he wants to.
They seem pretty focused on that. Look for them to look for more playmakers. All right, but when you look at the rest of the division, the Devils are not there yet. Carolina is good, but they're in the middle of the pack. And who am I forgetting?
Not Boston.
No, that's the other thing too. Remember, we're not fighting that Boston anymore because
you were going back to the way the division was. So it's Pittsburgh.
That's who?
The Pitts guys. Pittsburgh.
Penguins. Yes, that's right. With the greatest player in the world. That's another team, but they're aging out. And I'll be honest.
Yeah, their window is closing, if not closed.
They're dangerous, but they're older. Okay, so it's Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, New York, Carolina, Washington. How many teams in the division? 7?
8.
Devils.
8.
Devils. Let's do it. Ready? We'll go for that. New York, Philadelphia, Washington, Pittsburgh, New Jersey, Carolina, Washington. I think that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think you mentioned all 8.
It's 32 teams.
Right. Yeah, it's 4 8-team divisions.
Yeah. Yes. Who's the other team? Who am I forgetting? Did I say Pittsburgh?
Yeah, you said Pittsburgh. Yeah.
One more time.
It's okay. Okay, watch. New York, New Jersey, Philly, Pitt, Washington, Carolina.
Who's the other one, Ray? We're missing one. This is embarrassing now.
Yeah, it's not Buffalo.
It's not Buffalo. That's the Northern Division, Metropolitan Division. Oh, it's Columbus. It's Columbus. Woo!
Oh, that's right. Are they a franchise still? Because that's
well, what happens is
Columbus is a disastrous franchise in a city that never should have got a hockey team.
Tortorella was there, and now he's not. So now they'll get good again.
Well, and now Columbus is completely irrelevant to the NHL. They always have been. And I don't know if they ever will. I don't know if they'll ever lose.
They've had some very good seasons in recent years, but they are going back down the road again. So we'll see what happens.
They are terrible. Yeah. Enjoy your cannon shots or whatever it is. That's all you got. Yeah. Oh God. I that's the thing is, I would actually wouldn't mind if the Blue Jackets were good. They are just a terrible franchise.
Well,
just terrible.
Again, they had a 5-year window that they were quite good, but it's past now. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
There's 1 year
for them quite good's making the second round.
that's true too. Yeah.
So they're the Minnesota of the East. Sorry.
I don't have a problem with that. Why are you saying that like I'm gonna have a problem?
I'm just saying. Look, that's what the Wild do every year, right? Like if they're lucky.
It was Washington, but not anymore. But yes, you're right.
Yeah. So anyway, I can't believe we forgot Columbus. Oh, I can believe.
I can believe we forgot
Columbus. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
We got there. It's okay.
Yeah. Speaking of Washington, we go from hockey to basketball. Washington just made a trade with the Lakers. Russell Westbrook to the Lakers, and my basketball interest was at a high for the first time. The highest it's been in probably 20 years. Now it's back to zero. Just let the Lakers play the Nets at this point. Like, that's it. The Nets are the Eastern Conference. The Lakers are the Western Conference. It's another super team. Everybody's like, oh, but Westbrook, they're going to ball hog. Brooklyn figured it out, and if it wasn't for injuries, Brooklyn would have ran to the NBA Finals as well. Trust me. There's 5 guys on the court that all want to win. They are some of the best players in the world. They will figure it out. And trust me, when the Lakers start running the pick and roll with Davis and LeBron and Westbrook, it's over. Trust me, the Lakers are already going to win. I don't. Again, if they're healthy, I don't see who beats the Lakers in the Western Conference.
It's fresh off a not super team winning and saying that we're not a super team too. It's just
taking pride in it. I hope the Bucks win again.
Yeah. Just
to stick it to everybody, because or somebody else came out of the middle of nowhere like Knicks. But if the Bucks are winning again, it's not going to happen. It's not. Well, if the Knicks get Dame Lillard, the Knicks will suddenly go from a team that makes the playoffs to a team that can make a deep run in the playoffs. I do believe that, but I don't know if they're going to be able to make the trade for him. But yeah, it's this. We talked about this for many episodes, folks. Parity in basketball is a disaster, or it was until this year. And this is the kind of move that makes it a disaster again. You have 5 teams, if you're lucky, that could potentially win it every year. And that's it. And it's, if you're a Hornets fan, there's no reason to watch. If you're a Spurs fan at this point, there's no reason to watch. If you're a Raptors fan, there's no reason to watch anymore. Like it's LA, it's Boston, it's Brooklyn, and that's it. That's it. It's a joke. I can't stand it. And by the way, this is also the league that prevented Chris Paul from going to the Lakers years ago. Why not veto this trade for competitive balance? In fact, why haven't they been vetoing a lot more of these trades for competitive balance? Because if you want parity and competitive balance, these moves can't happen. Make a choice, NBA. So, so my interest again is at an all-time low for basketball. I know I said that online, and somebody was like, "Good, we don't want you," and I'm like, "Okay,
it's not the right
whatever."
Answer.
Yeah, like all right, sure. Like, yeah, NBA doesn't want my money. That's right, sure. Like, give me a break. Come on, Lee. Any thoughts on this?
No, I said it, man. It's just it's a different mentality in basketball than it is in some of the other sports, and hockey boasts itself as this team sport, the ultimate we sport, and basketball kind of is the I sport. That's how hockey perceives it. But the sad part is that basketball really is a team sport at the end of the day, and it's got an identity problem. And again, I was losing interest when it was the same team in the finals every year, and I don't want to take anything away from their accomplishments. It's just why would I watch? To see, I mean, is it to watch an all-star team? Oh, okay, just call it what it is then. The most fun I've had watching basketball in the last few years was the 3-on-3 tournament at the Olympics.
Yeah, that actually has been a lot of fun.
I've been having fun with that. It's faster, it's better, and you really have to work as a team. So it's just, I don't know. That's also my mentality. There's people that love the NBA like this. They love the super teams, and they love the Lakers, and maybe that's
and that's the thing. Like the fans of these teams love it,
right?
But that's the problem.
I'm saying it transcends like even other cities. Like I know a lot of this is unheard of in other sports, but I know people like, oh, I love the Sixers, but I love watching the Lakers. It's like, oh, okay, that's a little weird, but
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't get that.
They're basketball fans first.
I guess
it's an identity problem to me, but basketball fans will tell me it's not. Look, this is no different than the debate of when I ask people, why do you still watch baseball? I love baseball. I love everything about baseball. Well, okay, the cheating, the rules. Well, yeah, I mean, but I love baseball. It's just you can't disassociate yourself with it. I'm not talking about you, Ray. Like you kind of have to do it for what you do. All right, but it's like, I don't. Right. At the same time, I could never not watch hockey. Right. Like I could never pull myself away from that. But hockey's got to be the most stand-up sport in the four major sports.
Yeah. Well, and like you too. I mean, even if it did take a turn, it's ingrained in your work at this point. Right. Like, I mean, that's the difference between you and me and some other folks.
Maybe I wouldn't watch. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, man.
I will say I've watched less baseball than I've ever watched in any other year.
That's a bigger deal than me saying I don't want to watch it. You not watching it. All right, but basketball again, it seems like you just had this great season.
Yeah.
And we're right back to super teams again, not learning.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is that
I'd love to see if it's here's the thing too.
I'll watch the finals and that's it.
Well, attendance and viewership were down, and I'm sure they're leaning on that, but I think they were down for a completely different reason. So I don't want to get into right now. So it's just.
I mean, there's partial. The season was longer. It started at a different time too. Like usually the basketball's not.
I think there's a large political reason that people have stepped away. Whether I agree with
that's possibly true too.
Yeah, whether I agree with it or not is irrelevant. I think there's I think there's a reason with that. People turn people off. Same thing with the Olympics. The Olympics are getting an all-time lowest ratings right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that is true. I think also if everything's a little weird right now in general with COVID, but I think also, the NBA finals were down because also they were in July. Like the baseball All-Star game got almost the same rating as the one of the NBA final games. It's like, they're going out at the same time. Right. Also, typically, less people watch sports in July because they're at the beach. Right. They're doing something else. Like, I mean, I know me too, that a lot of times I'll just catch the box score later. I'll read it the next day.
Let me ask you a question, because I'm going to kind of prove something here. You been watching the Olympics at all?
Very little.
Okay. I mean, have you seen any highlights or anything about the U.S. women's soccer team? Like highlights, like about the games?
No.
Why would they be not showing us that? So I'm saying my point is
because of their politics.
It's bad for ratings. Yeah. Again, yes, and that is bad for ratings on either side of the aisle. So it's like that's why they're not doing it. It doesn't represent. I don't want to say it doesn't represent the USA. That's not fair. But I'm saying like they don't want the negative press, right? So it's like it plays into it, and the NBA was very vocal about that. Again, I'm not talking whether I agree or not. That is not the point. They were just very vocal about it, and I think it turned a lot of people off from watching.
Yeah.
So anyway, totally different discussion.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's a lot. Yeah. Like you said, there's a lot to dissect there. There's a lot of layers to peel back. But I mean, again, I'm not watching the Olympics a lot of times because A, I don't know when anything is on usually.
It's on in the middle of the night.
Right. And then I either have to, if I want to watch something live, I have to watch it in the middle of the night. And I don't want to watch a replay because by then I already know what happened. Right. Like they're going to replay the U.S. versus Czech Republic. Czech
Republic. Back 30 years there, right?
Wow, yeah. Czech Republic game. I already know the U.S. won by 30. Like I don't want to watch a replay. Like the game's already over.
Well, I think you said it too. There's a lot of distractions right now.
Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff going on too. So speaking of a lot going on, this is something that kind of inspired by our buddy Dan Saunders. Dan's been having a lot of great posts in the group, by the way. By the way, if you have not joined the Facebook group, Geeks Like Sports, you should do so. We do have a lot of good fun.
Absolutely do that.
Yeah. I think our Dan, one of the things that he also asked about was with baseball. And I'm going to just really quickly say, I do believe that the Yankees, their ceiling is the ALDS. Again, I said it. I think the Dodgers are winning it all over the White Sox. So what's up, GLZP? A couple of folks put them into chat now. Moving into wrestling. This is something that I am thrilled to talk about because the wrestling landscape is completely changing. And now it might not be a full-blown war. I know somebody in chat was very adamant. It's not a war. They don't have the resources that WWE had. And I'm not making fun of you there, by the way. I'm just trying to do a different voice.
It's no war, man. It's no war. They don't have resources. Is that what it sounded like?
Oh, we got resources. All right, listen here, man. We haven't talked a lot about the Bad Batch, but be sure to join us at streamlounge.io this Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific.
It might be earlier, Ray. I haven't talked to you about that yet.
All right, that's fine. If it has to be earlier,
it might be a lot earlier, but we'll do it.
Okay,
we'll talk.
We will have to talk
young man. We will talk off the air.
Okay? All right, we'll talk off the air.
All right, we'll do it live.
Anyway, you know what we're doing? We're doing it live here also on Twitch, of course. And of course, if you're listening after the fact, we appreciate listening to you wherever you are listening to us. But of course, feel free to join us on Saturdays for Twitch. Twitch.tv/RayCarSlight. Wrestling Wars. I do believe we are on the cusp of a legit war now between AEW and WWE. But it's not just AEW. It is AEW. It is honestly, folks, it's World War II. It's the Allies versus the Axis. And WWE is the Axis. They are the big bad. And AEW has aligned themselves with the NWA, with New Japan, with Impact, which is formerly TNA Wrestling. They've now aligned themselves with Game Changer Wrestling, which is a small outlet in Southern Jersey, which is now like with what's called GCW. You're getting all these smaller, used to be regional wrestling outlets are now banding together to take on the WWE. You're seeing a lot of former WWE talent, which, by the way, WWE this morning released Bray Wyatt, which, holy cow, what are you doing? He was the hottest thing in wrestling only a year and a half ago. He got hurt, and suddenly now you don't like it anymore. Like, it just, it's all about the money. He got hurt, and suddenly his stuff stopped selling. That's going to be a huge pickup for somebody. But AEW has basically all but come out and said they have signed Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, and they will both be debuting in the next 6 weeks. That you have gotten two of the most popular wrestlers in the world being added to another outlet. This could be the thing. I mean, and AEW is adding a Friday night show to go up against SmackDown. I get it's a different kind of show, but the thing is that this is them trying to cut directly into the SmackDown audience, the same thing they did when they went after NXT and forced WWE off of Wednesday nights. They're like, we're not even going to compete. We're going to go switch to Tuesdays. We're going to switch NXT to Tuesdays because we don't want to go up against AEW because AEW was eating their lunch. Bottom line, AEW was winning the ratings war consistently, not every week, but consistently 75% of the time, 3 out of 4 weeks out of the month. Depending on what was happening, AEW was winning against NXT. And now AEW Dynamite on Wednesdays is starting to approach SmackDown numbers. SmackDown gets about 1.8 million viewers a week. AEW is getting 1.2 million a week and climbing. And adding the biggest wrestlers in the world is only going to get them closer. This is unbelievable. And I know WWE, that's why they brought back John Cena. Supposedly they're bringing The Rock back to go against Roman Reigns. They're going to do like a family feud. But meanwhile, NWA is doing an all-women's show called Empower. There's Matt Cardona, formerly of WWE, part of Impact Wrestling, went to GCW, became their champion. Kenny Omega has transcended wrestling by, the other one that I can remember, AAA Wrestling, Lucha Libre in Mexico. He is a champion in 3 different organizations. This coalition of wrestling organizations that take on WWE, a rising tide lifts all ships. All of their numbers are climbing, and WWE's have either stagnated or are decreasing. War may not be here, but it is coming, my friends. And this is a big, big deal. And I, for one, I don't know if you watch AEW, folks, but I'm going to tell you, it's not for kids. This feels like old school WCW, early WCW, where they are pulling out all the stops. They are doing hardcore matches, legit hardcore matches, not WWE softer hardcore matches. Oh, I hit him with a chair. Chris Jericho did a Hurricane Rana on Nick freaking Gage, by the way, from GCW, through a pane of glass. People got hit with glass in the front row like it was like the splash zone at SeaWorld. Folks, wrestling is changing for the better. I have not been this excited about wrestling in years, and it's the first time ever it's not been a WWE product. They are changing the game quite literally, folks. Chris Jericho, the best in the world, is at the forefront of it, and he is week after week taking shots. Folks, you haven't seen that much blood on basic cable in forever. It was amazing. I mean, we're talking light tubes. We're talking for those of you who don't know, Nick Gage is a guy who literally almost was pronounced dead for 8 minutes. He died in one of his death matches. He's the king of the death match. They did a death match on AEW. We're talking barbed wire. We're talking pizza cutters, which, by the way, the fact that Domino's then pulled their sponsorship from AEW, that is the exact opposite of what you were supposed to do. They have pizza cutters. You should get a Domino's pizza cutter for them and have them be a big head sponsor. This was a golden opportunity for pizza companies. Now you're opening the door for Papa John's. You're stupid, Domino's. Anyway, it is amazing what has happened. I have not been this excited for wrestling in so long, and I am here for it, and I am ready for the war to begin. WWE, you need to make a change, and if you do not change soon, you are in trouble. By the way, as all your wrestlers ask out of their contracts and go sign at AEW, including guys like Aleister Black, who they are doing, it's a black versus white match. It's Cody Rhodes versus, in terms of Aleister Black is all in black, Cody Rhodes is all in white. They're kind of trying to make it this savior figure. It's really, it's a good storyline. It's happening at AEW. Lee, do you have any thoughts on the new wrestling war?
Come on down to Ray Carcillo's Pizza Shop, where we use our pizza cutters to cut each other before we cut your pizza. Not only can you see us once, twice, 3 times a week, but also come on down for our special half-off fingers and pepperoni special, where you can see people get their fingers decapitated while also getting your pepperoni pizza here at Ray's Pizza.
Famous Ray's Pizza.
Famous Pizza.
Look, I mean, the storytelling in AEW, right? AEW is putting on a pay-per-view caliber show every week. Yeah. They started with a Survivor Series 10-man tag elimination that would have been the headliner of any WWE pay-per-view. In fact, I want to say it was kind of a shot at Survivor Series. And AEW had it as their opening match this past week. And it was one of the best 10-man tags I've ever seen. And WWE was at the forefront of that match. Right. Again, Survivor Series is 30 years old now.
Is it tomato sauce or is it blood? You don't know. Here at Famous Ray's Pizza. Who's ready? Bonesaw is ready. Oh, it's Bonesaw back from the dead here at Famous Ray's Pizza. Yeah. Okay. The Kool-Aid guy comes in. Oh, yeah. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing I can add to that with your excitement, so I'm not going to even try. I will be shocked if The Rock wrestles. I believe that he might show up, but I'll be shocked if he tries to wrestle with who he is in the world right now.
That's kind of what I thought.
There's no need for him to injure himself. By the way, when I say wrestle, I don't mean him taking a fall. I mean him doing a match.
Right. Yeah,
right?
you do a bump. Doing a bump is a different
thing.
I
just don't think he's gonna. I can't see him wrestling again with too much on the table. But maybe he will. He's also the type of guy that absolutely would wrestle again. With everything I'm just saying.
Well, I think also it would be interesting. It feels like that this is WWE's ace in the hole. Is that admittedly, what a lot of AEW is doing is nostalgia driven, right? It is fan service.
Totally. And they got to find their own new stuff too, for sure.
For sure. And they are. Again, I've said this to you privately. MJF, I think, is the combination he's the next generation of The Rock mixed with Triple H. He cuts an amazing promo. He's one of the best heels in the business. He's only 24 years old. He is the future of wrestling. There's a lot of and that's the thing. I think AEW is finding a great balance between their fan service and their new guys, right? Using Sting not as a wrestler, but as to push the new Darby Allin, who has a similar gimmick, up a notch, right? Using Jake the Snake Roberts as the manager of the Murder Hawk Monster, Archer to to get him up a notch, right? Using these guys not in the ring as much as using them to cut promos and to push guys. You know, Tully Blanchard, like as a man, like using them as managers and like being smart with most of them. Yes, Jericho obviously is still wrestling on a regular basis, but he's the exception, not the rule there. I think Mark Henry's there, Big Show's there, but they are there as commentators and promoters and guys who are there to sell the young guys, which WWE is not doing enough of. They are not selling their young guys as much.
Well, again, rising tide lifts all ships. Competition is good. I would not be surprised if WWE is welcoming to this. So we'll see how it plays out.
We will. And again, I do think a Rock storyline where he takes on Roman Reigns as who's called
himself. Oh, it's a great storyline.
Would be a great story.
If he wrestles, I'd be shocked. I would be
in
a good way. I'm not saying that in a bad way.
Yeah. I also want to say I do hope by the way, John Cena, I will say
not
this.
How you say his name, man.
John Cena!
There's only one way to do that.
It's the first time ever you're not getting Cena sucks chance. The fans are happy to have him back.
Right.
And that is a big deal. And I'm actually happy to have him back as well. For his early career, I was a Cena hater. He grew on me. I grew to appreciate him. Now I'm happy he's back.
It's funny.
He's a good guy.
It's the exact opposite of The Rock. It's the exact opposite. Yeah. When he was in the WWF, everyone loved him. He went to movies. He got hated for a while for doing that. There was younger fans might not remember this, but there was a 10-year period, maybe 5 years. He'd come back and people were like, you're a movie star now. Get out of here. You betrayed us. And then
that was the whole storyline between him and Cena.
Right. And then it's like he's transcended everything now. So when he comes back, it's just, oh my God, it's Dwayne Johnson type. It's a god. But it was the opposite. People hated him. Then he went to the movies and they came back and it'd be like, oh my God, it's John Cena.
Well, and I think part there's a couple of reasons for that.
So he's just a good human being.
He is a good guy, really just like The Rock. They're both very, very good guys. Yeah. And I think that Cena though has come back because he's turned it on his head where they made it before where The Rock wanted to come back. Cena's like, I didn't want to come back. I had to come back to help this company because you suck as a champion, Roman.
Right.
And people really also, it's credit to Roman being such a big heel right now, which Cena refused to ever do.
Right.
But the fact that he is such a polar opposite to Cena right now, I think that's when Cena as a face works really, really well.
Right,
and of course, Heyman is in Reigns' corner and whatnot.
I'm gonna have a big glass of milk.
Yeah, no, but I think Cena's basically coming out calling him trash every week, and and I think it's really, really well done. I hope Cena gets the belt because I think then technically that would be his 17th world, even though it's the Universal Championship, gets his 17th championship, which would then break his tie with Ric Flair.
Right.
People could argue it's like, well, the WWE title is different from the world title, and yada yada.
Yeah.
I think that's part of why he's coming back as well. As I think, and I talked about this years ago, where I said I think Cena will come back at some point for one more run just to break Flair's record, and when the time is right, and I think the time is now. Which, funny enough, is one of his catchphrases. You can't see me, the time is now.
Right.
But anyway,
I have a mashup. Should you want to do it?
Let's do it. Let's go to the mashup.
I need a better introduction than that. I'm sorry, prima donna.
It's 103 degrees here, Lee, and my air conditioner's not on. I need to go to the mashup.
Ray, that was a good intro. I'm convinced. All right, Ray.
By the way, Caitlin, producer Caitlin, when we have to go back and bleep Lee, can we use the Ghostbusters siren? When we do so anyway, okay. So I wanted to get that in there.
Shoot, Ray. Okay, here we go. Ray. Yeah. Which you're gonna love this one, by the way. This is gonna be your favorite mashup of all time.
Okay.
Which any professional wrestler in history, anyone you want, which one should be joining the Ghostbusters?
Oh.
I mean, again, mine's kind of obvious, but I'll let you go first.
I mean, the first one comes.
It's good, isn't it? Isn't that good?
It's like, where do you want?
It's a good mashup. Come on.
It is a good one.
A little cooler in your room now. Not really, but
so. Goodness, you could do something like more literal, where like you could have like the Undertaker because he's the dead man.
Oh, okay.
And like
I wasn't thinking
you could
that.
have him.
Funny.
You could have him.
That'd be boring as
bridge
hell.
that gap.
That'd be
yeah,
boring.
like yeah. I mean,
This
you could have somebody.
Well, now
you could have him
rest in. Peace. No, I think go ahead. I'll let you know. Because there's only one person I want to see.
There's more comedic guys like Santino Marella, which would fit right in.
There's only one I want to see on the Ghostbusters.
So who's your pick?
It's Stone Cold. I just think that would be so. Can you imagine him don't look at the trap, and that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. Austin,
don't look at
just positronic,
Don't look in the trap. What? Don't cross the streams. What?
Are you a god? Hell yeah.
What?
hell, give me a hell yeah. I can see.
Yeah.
Give me some.
Hell yeah.
Come on, that would be so funny.
That would be good. That would be really good.
And then I can just see Zool just like, oh
yeah,
cool. Are you a god? Hell yeah. All right. I mean, it's gotta be Austin. Can you imagine dealing with Bakeman and
yeah, no, that would be a lot of fun.
Or can you imagine? Can you imagine this one? Woo! It's just like there's so many that would work in this. Just Ric Flair, man. The Nature Boys got the Ghost Man. It's the Ghostbusters. Who are you gonna call? Woo!
Yeah, no, it would be that would be great. There's a lot of great wrestlers. The Rock would be a great Ghostbuster.
That would be interesting. Like now, we're talking The Rock or DJ, like the traditional.
Talking
Rock?
The Rock.
Oh my God, that would be unbelievable.
Because as DJ, it's a completely different thing.
What's your name? Slimer. It doesn't matter what your name is.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no, exactly. He throws the trap like he threw his elbow guard into the
Yeah,
crowd. Exactly.
I think Austin's got him edged out, but that would be good. Yeah. The Undertaker would be a fun villain in Ghostbusters, I think.
For sure. He'd definitely be a villain.
But like
Mick Foley to the
God.
Ghost. Have a nice day.
No. Mick Foley would be like the sidekick, like the.
He'd be Rick Moranis' character.
I did it again. Yes, Rick Moranis. Sorry. Yeah. That would be so funny, right? Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, no, that's a good one. Stone Cold is a good one for sure.
I would love to watch Stone Cold interact with the Ghostbusters and the ghosts. I, Vigo, Lord of Alpathia, commands you. What? Command me, my lord.
Oh God. What? Yeah. And then what is it? And then you have and you could have John Cena, like, you can't see me. And the ghost like, you can't see me. He's like, but you can't see me. He's like, you can't, the ghost just back and forth, you all can't see each other.
You could see I could see McMahon as Walter Peck.
Oh, for sure. Or he'd be the mayor at the very least.
Man. Like, come on, Vinny. All of them.
You could save the lives of millions of registered voters.
I like it. Yeah. And Austin's on the Ghostbusters. That even works even better. You go back to the late 90s.
Yeah, no, it works even better now. Yeah, no, for sure.
Screw you, Austin.
No, Peck is like Shane. Like that's Shane McMahon would be Peck.
Your mother. A line nobody understands that line to this day. I want these men committed. Your mother.
Yeah.
You got what? What? That was your best comeback? I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's like
saving the day. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah. Oh man, that would be
I hope one of our fans draws Stone Cold Steve Austin into Ghostbusters now.
That would be great. That would be great.
What's his other? I mean, Austin 316. That's the bottom line. What's his other catchphrase?
What? I mean, obviously, like
I just love that. Vigo
don't trust anybody.
What?
DTA, don't trust anybody. Yeah, there's a few for sure. But we want to know.
He stunned Vigo.
Yes.
That would be Vigo, great. My good God.
Yeah.
Go ahead. We want to know
what you think. Yeah. So comment below. Obviously, it means we always appreciate it. This is a fun one. This is a good one, Lee.
That one. I was going to do the episode. I was going to do what athlete would be on the Ghostbusters, and then I was like, no, this is built for wrestlers.
Yeah.
I would like to see Ghostbusters versus Ninja Turtles in the cartoon world, or they work together.
That would be fun. I mean, they would work together.
Yeah. I don't know why that didn't happen. Now I'm thinking about it. Timing was right for that in the late 80s, really.
Yeah, I mean, two very different companies, though. I guess, I don't know.
You're right.
But yeah, I like how we took the beginning of the episode to the very end of the episode, and we did the mashup. So that was very, very good.
We did what?
So,
we did. It's a true
very
book ending. Yes.
We did a true bookend with the mashup.
You know, after 117 episodes, we did it.
Yeah.
We
did it.
We did it. That's it.
Oh goodness. But yeah, so that is the conclusion of episode 117. As always, please share with your friends, like all the other fun stuff. If you want a t-shirt, please let us know.
T-shirt.
If you're here on Twitch, there's the link.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, you can also join the Discord, which has been starting to get a little more active lately, which is good to see. We've got the podcast also here. All the links are popping up now here in the chat if you're on Twitch. But if you're listening to us, geekswholikesport.com, that's the big one. You can find us. You can find everything through there. And yeah, we really appreciate you all for listening as always. Again, share with your friends if you like what you hear. We appreciate it. But for Lee, I'm Ray. This has been episode 117 of Geeks Who Like Sports. We will see you all next week. Have a good night, everybody.